Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, all you deplorables. Welcome, all you dregs of society, all you sycophants, you rock dwellers, you stinkos, you hateful people who celebrate the president. You know, please know, you're always welcome here. This is the Conservative Commandoes radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandoes radio network, and joining me as my co-host is the president and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom, the gentleman that gives the show a little bit of class, and that's George Landreth. George, welcome back to Conservative Commandoes.
It's great to be here. This is the place to be. It worries me a little bit if I'm providing class. I'm just like, okay.
We get it from wherever we can, George, wherever we can. Well, George, a lot is happening. George, 4 years ago, I almost ended the Conservative Commandos. I thought, after all, we've got a Republican president. Republicans control the House and the Senate. We have a majority in the Supreme Court. What would we be talking about? Maybe it was time for me to just go off into retirement, which means afternoons and on the easy chair, taking a nap in front of the TV with the kitty cat on my lap. But every day, more and more is coming out. Something has come out recently that we've talked about in the past. It's kind of been pushed aside with everything else that's going around, but Hunter Biden's back in the news, and it's been verified that he received millions from the wife of the ex-Moscow mayor, and this is a story that just keeps getting, the legs on it keeps getting longer and longer, George.
Yeah, we know that not only did a corrupt ex-mayor and political operative for Putin give him big bucks, but so did the Ukrainians, and so did the Chinese. That's kind of interesting. But we're told nothing really happened there. Move along. There's nothing here to, and it was the mainstream press has been telling us for months. This is all just some wild conspiracy, and it's crazy talk. And it turns out none of it was crazy talk. It was all real. Let's be honest. Hunter Biden has no real qualifications. He's a guy who got drummed out of the military because he couldn't stay sober. And, I'm sorry for that. That's a terrible problem to have. And but that's not a qualification to get millions of dollars from things. But you know what is?
No.
When your dad's the vice president and they can funnel money to the family in hopes of changing policy in their direction. And clearly they did, because Joe Biden bragged about it. We have video of Joe Biden telling us how he personally got the prosecutor who was looking into the gas company that Hunter Biden worked for. He got the prosecutor fired. He told the guy, your country will not get a dime of American aid to protect yourself against the Russians. That's what they accused Trump of doing, by the way, when they impeached him. Biden did it. He threatened them with that and said, you will not get a dime if you don't do what I'm telling you to now. Fire the guy who is looking into the corruption of the company my son works for. He didn't identify it as the company, but it was, in fact, the company his son works for. So the corruption here is long. And let's be honest, Joe Biden owns over $10 million in real estate. His home is over worth $6 million. He's got a home at the beach in Rehoboth worth about $3 million. He's got another home in D.C. that's very expensive as well. So we're easily over $10 million.
George, now
how does a guy making a senator's salary get that?
Yeah, George, he's been in Washington for the last 40, 50 years, I guess. Going back to the 1970s, and there's an ad out that absolutely drives me nuts. Joe Biden talking about how he was sworn into the Senate at the hospital bed of his dying wife and daughter. He used this, George, to perpetuate his political career. And now, all these years later, nearly 50 years later, 48 years later, he's running for president on the bodies of his dead wife and daughter. He's doing it again, George.
Yeah. Well, and he also...
And what I'm getting at is, George, this is a man that hasn't had a job in the private sector in all that time. And he's got how much in real estate holdings, George?
Well, we know well more than $10 million worth.
In real estate holdings. In these 3 houses that he owns. My God, who knows about his investments? You know, George, they talk about Donald Trump's tax returns. Somebody ought to investigate Joe Biden's tax returns and where he's made all this money.
Yeah.
To have all these luxurious houses. A $6 million house in Wilmington?
Yeah.
A $3 million house in Rehoboth Beach?
Yeah.
His house in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, and it's probably several $1 million. That probably puts you over 12, but it certainly puts you over 10. So it's amazing to me that the press acts like there's no story here. And the fact of the matter is, if he were standing over a dead body with blood all over him and a bloody knife in his hand, and he were on video saying, "I did this," they would say he didn't do it. And they would say those who said he did were wild, crazy conspiracy theorists. That's how fundamentally dishonest they are. The mainstream media are, quite frankly, lying sacks of rotting fecal matter.
There it is, George.
I'm
I
sorry.
haven't heard that in a couple of weeks.
It's the truth, though. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Because if they had even a shred of honesty or decency, they would at least say, "This is very troubling, folks. The lines don't look good here." I had a New York Times reporter call me up and you came to the Reagan Gala. We hosted it at the Trump Hotel at the request of the honoree because it's very close to Capitol Hill. So if he had to vote, he could dash in and out of the meeting and cast his vote and be right back without any trouble. But they wanted to know if there was some sort of kickback deal or corruption going on, simply because we're a conservative organization that, and it's like, wow. So I didn't even bother calling him back. I'm not going to call that kind of garbage. It's just like, write your stupid story on your own. I'm not going to be a part of this stupid stuff.
Who is this, George?
The New York Times.
The New York Times.
Yeah, so I'm just saying every last one of them, down to the people who answer their dang phones, are lying sacks of rotting fecal matter because they think that's going to be some grand story of corruption. But they don't care one whit about the millions and millions of dollars that were funneled to the Biden family while Joe Biden was the vice president. And we were told, of course, that that this is such a nothing story that the State Department never even worried about it. Guess what? That was a lie. The State Department was worried about it. The State Department of Barack Obama looked into this because they had concerns. John Kerry said, "Oh yeah, we didn't care about that. It was so obviously not a big deal." And it's like, they're all lying through their teeth. We now know that. And so I think as a rule, we need to understand something. When the press tells you there's nothing there and not to worry about it, they're lying. And when they tell you you should be worried about something, guess what? They're also lying. These people are committed leftist thugs, and they will do anything they can to advantage the ideology that they prefer. And they will lie to you every day of the week, every minute of the hour, every hour of the day. That's just who they are.
George, the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. is one of the finest establishments in all of the district.
Yeah, it's probably the nicest hotel in D.C.
For the New York Times to question why you, George Landreth, and Frontiers of Freedom would choose there to have their gala. I mean, come on. Come on.
Right.
Irregardless of who the guest of honor was and their request, you've got the right to choose any, and you didn't get that for free. I know you paid for it.
Yeah, we paid full price. I mean, and I'm not complaining. We got a similar deal we would have gotten at other fine hotels. But somehow that's corruption. It's like, oh, please.
Just because it has the name Trump on it, George.
Yeah.
That is the one and only reason that it has.
And I can honestly say
Trump.
Donald Trump's never done anything for Frontiers of Freedom or George Landreth other than be a president that I think has good policies. But I've never gotten any special favors or anything. It's like I think they want to try to argue that that's a way to curry favor with him. I'm sorry, but he runs a very large operation, and a one-night dinner, and I thought it was a very nice dinner, not going to make a big deal. That's like saying that if I walk into ExxonMobil, at their gas station, I buy a Diet Coke when I'm filling up with gas, that I'm somehow going to get special favors from them because it's a big deal. No, it's not. Comparatively speaking, this is not a big deal. Relax.
And it is unbelievable, just unbelievable. Tell you how much sway George Landreth has with Donald Trump. He hasn't even gotten Donald Trump on this show as a guest yet, but that's another story. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandoes radio show with George Landreth, President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And today's show, like all our shows, is brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. George and I will be back with news and commentary after this break, and we'll let you know who our guests are and the topics for our conversations.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandoes radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Trader. I want to give a shout out to folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., as well as seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Redding, Chico, Fort Bragg, and Napa Valley. The list gets longer and longer, and if that's not enough, check out the AUN's website, aun-tv.com. Also, our new Roku channel and our new YouTube channel. George, we're everywhere. And if people can't find us, they're just not looking. George, who are our guests for today's show?
Well, we've got some really good guests, as we always do here at the Conservative Commandos. We're going to start off with Rick Manning, who is, of course, a Conservative Commandos and an AUN-TV alumnus.
Yes.
He's also the president of Americans for Limited Government, and he is also he was on President Trump's transition team. So we're going to have him, and we're going to talk a little bit about this whole question of what's going on with the Bidens. You and I had talked about it a bit, and then we also want to, if time permits, get into a little bit about with the whole China virus thing, how the Democrats never let a crisis go to waste. Mm-hmm. What Nancy Pelosi's been saying she's going to do, because it's starting to come back. It died down for a while, and now she's essentially trying to gear up again for the idea that she's either after the election going to, basically hand over the federal treasury to all of her friends in state government. And then we've got Angela Box. And to remind our viewers and listeners, she's a former actress and she's an elementary school teacher as well, or was. And she got herself in trouble because she was on a local television show and she had politically incorrect views. Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh.
And so
I'm glad she's going to bring him here with us.
Exactly. So she was targeted for canceling, and because after all, you can't have politically incorrect views. Those must be canceled.
Hey, George, you can hear on the AUN television network. You know why? I run the outfit.
That's right.
Angela would fit right in with us.
That's right. And then we're going to conclude with Christine Hicks. And she's a common sense constitutional conservative from a deep blue state. And she's somebody who understands what it's like to be outnumbered, to be radically outnumbered by the left. I feel good about those guests because I think they'll all be interesting and live up to our high standards.
Well, George, we're going to expose Biden, his campaign, his sons, the people who are around him, and also a senior campaign aide, a cybersecurity aide expert, participated in racist internet troll groups.
Yeah. So, not only they did that, and that's, bad enough, but apparently they were somebody who spent years hacking and boasted about breaking into her neighbors' computers. Wow. But you're right. So pretty odd stuff. Imagine if Donald Trump had on his staff as his, cybersecurity expert, somebody who had, posted and been involved with white nationalist groups, because that's what this person was. Other racist groups, other, things. It's just like, really? I just find it now, Joe Biden might say, I didn't know this. And it's kind of like, that's fine. But that would not be an excuse for Donald Trump. They would they would say, no. And again, that gets us back to this whole point. The press is not even remotely close to honest. They are affirmatively lying sacks of rotting fecal matter. We could have every show of the Conservative Commandos, if it wanted to be, could just be dedicated to demonstrating the dishonesty of the press. And not just, I'm not talking bias, I'm talking affirmative dishonesty. It's pathetic. Mm-hmm. They are shameful.
Well, in fact, there are a couple of great groups that do that already. Newsbusters and AIM Accuracy and Media. Groups we love to have on here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Well, George, let's continue to pile on Joe Biden. I love it. I love piling on Joe Biden. His 1988 presidential campaign was actually torpedoed by two events. One was his plagiarism. The other was something about a drunk driving charge
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's come up again.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, and it wasn't that he plagiarized someone else's college term paper. He plagiarized someone else's life story. In other words, he told people, Neil Kinnock, who was a British parliamentarian, he told Neil Kinnock's life story as if it were his story and presented it as his story. And you just kind of scratch your head and go, you've got to be freaking kidding me. That's so much worse than, for example, kind of, but he's also done the other kind of plagiarism too. So it's just amazing to me the level of dishonesty of this man. But then, like you said, it doesn't just stop there, the dishonesty. His wife was tragically killed in an automobile accident. My understanding from the traffic reports and things that occurred, and maybe she was distracted, maybe she accidentally pulled out in front of a truck, and the truck didn't have time to stop and hit her, and she passed away, and that's tragic.
Very tragic.
I'm not blaming her for her death. I'm just saying that's what happened, and it's tragic. It doesn't matter if she was at fault, in the accident. It's tragic, and I'm willing to acknowledge that. But he went on and he accused the driver of the truck of being a drunk driver, which there was not a shred of evidence for. And the court, that was not ever even discussed at court. This is just something that he conveniently made up. Like when he borrowed from Neil Kinnock's life story and said, Neil Kinnock's story is my story. So there's something profoundly wrong with this man, because
Indeed there is.
He will use personal tragedy, personal tragedy. He'll lie about it. He'll try to augment it and blame other people and do all kinds of weird stuff because he sees political advantage in it. And then you look at his finances, and he's used his political position to create financial advantage for himself. So
not just himself, his brother, his sons. I mean, just about everybody around him is rich now.
Yeah, and they weren't before he won office. So he's been very good at learning how to make money for his family by selling his influence. So he's a thoroughly corrupt man, and he's a lying, sack-rotting fecal matter himself. And yet the press acts like, he's this wonderful uniter who's going to make the country a better place. And I just scratch my head and say, look at his record. It speaks for itself.
George, do you have any idea what his record in the Senate was? Like, how many pieces of legislation did he write? Was he personally responsible for? That was passed the House, passed the Senate, and signed by a president. Do you have any idea?
Off the top of my head, I unfortunately don't know the answer to that. I know he's taken credit for, through most of his career, some of the legislation that ended up, putting blacks in jail longer. And now, of course, that's inconvenient, and so he doesn't talk about it anymore. But but he used to brag about it. I don't know if he actually is responsible for that legislation. To be honest, he's not the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
So
I'm not sure he's written a lot of legislation.
I challenge anybody to supply us with that information. But when you talk about his record, I don't even know what qualified him to be the senator of Delaware. Nevertheless, the vice president of the United States, or even the president of the United States.
Well,
George, got to go to a break and get our first guest on, actually. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandoes radio show with George Landreth and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we are going to be joined by Rick Manning. Rick is the president for Americans for Limited Government. He's also an alumni host here on the Conservative Commandoes radio show. Avoid disappointment and future regret. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the Conservative Commandos radio network, broadcasts all across this great nation, and the AUN-TV network as well. And of course, if you're not near one of those broadcast towers, then guess what? You have Al Gore's amazing internet. We truly are everywhere. I'm George Landreth, one of your Conservative Commandos hosts today, and we have with us a great guest. Before I introduce Rick, which I probably don't need to do because I know you all know him, but I just want to remind you, you can get a rebroadcast of our show. Just check out the website, ccrshow.com. Rick Manning is a Conservative Commandos alumnus. He's also the president of Americans for Limited Government. He served additionally on President Trump's transition team, and he's the author of a really good book with Starr Parker, Necessary Noise: How Donald Trump Inflames the Culture War and Why That Is Good for America. Rick, it's always great to have you on the show, so welcome back. It seems odd to welcome you back to a place that I think, at least I hope, feels like home. But nonetheless, welcome back.
It feels even more like home today since I'm doing it from home.
That's a good point. So I don't see the Americans for Limited Government in the background there.
No.
So what's up with that?
I was traveling around, and Larry Hogan wants everybody in Maryland to sequester themselves for a period of time if you've been traveling in multiple states.
Okay.
So I'm absolutely 100% healthy. I had a COVID test on Saturday. I'm waiting for the results to get back, and then I can travel back to Virginia to where I work. But for now, I'm a basement dweller, working from my basement, George. It reminds me of the good old days just a few short months ago.
Yeah. So you've joined the ranks of Joe Biden? No. The difference.
I'm looking for Joe down here. He's not in my basement.
Okay.
I'm sure Everybody should check their basements and see if Joe Biden is actually in your basement.
Hiding in your
basement.
basement.
We know he's hiding in someone's basement.
Well, the difference between, at least, there's a lot of difference between you and Joe Biden, but one is that you actually can put words together and make sense. I think that's a big plus.
Well, I also have my own hair. That's another thing.
That's
so
yeah,
it's
that's right. There you go. Your own hair.
I get mixed.
Yeah, we probably don't want to necessarily do it. But speaking of Joe Biden, the Senate this week has released some findings and some information about the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden as well, obviously by implication, and how he got his money and who was paying him. And I thought it was very interesting, but I'm going to leave it to you to do most of the commentary here. But what I thought was so interesting was all the things we were told were crazy conspiracy theories, and that the State Department wasn't even worried about it. We now know that's all false. The State Department even Obama's State Department was very worried about it. They were focused on it and trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Why were all these kind of shady characters paying big bucks to Hunter Biden when his father was supposedly heading up the anti-corruption efforts? And they were doing their own investigations to figure out what was up. And we were told, of course, that they didn't even care. It was like, that's so crazy.
Yeah, well, the really interesting thing about it is, to me, is that anybody with a brain could see what was up. Hunter Biden hitched a ride to the Ukraine and managed to get a contract with Burisma, which is one of the most corrupt companies in the world, natural gas company. Got a lot of attention back during the Ukrainian attempt to impeach the president. But Burisma, had Hunter Biden on their board of directors. Hunter Biden has absolutely no qualifications to be on the board of directors. He brings nothing to the table except for one thing, his relationship with his father. And so they clearly were paying him a bunch of money because of that relationship. And it paid off. We all saw the video of Joe Biden bragging to the Foreign Affairs Council, or Foreign Relations Council, bragging to them about how he fired the prosecutor who was prosecuting Burisma, and told the Ukrainian president at the time that if he did not fire the prosecutor, he would not get the money that the United States had promised him. If that sounds eerily familiar, it is exactly what
for defense
the Democrats accused President Trump of doing, and which he did not do. Yet Joe Biden did do it, and we've got it on tape that he bragged about it. Yeah. But yet that was okay. Somehow that was okay. So Hunter Biden makes a bunch of money. Joe Biden basically calls off the heat on the company that his son's making a bunch of money for. I don't know. Not a lot of Inspector Clouseaus over there at the old State Department if they can't figure out what the heck was going on there. It's the oldest game in the world, and that is give a politician or their relatives money and get favors in return.
Right.
Clearly, that's what occurred.
Well, one of the things I think is interesting about that, too, is Joe Biden owns some very expensive real estate.
Oh, yeah.
On a senator's salary, which isn't paltry, but a senator's salary doesn't generally have you living in mansions either. You have to have your wealth come from somewhere else. So I would love to have someone do some forensic accounting to figure out, where did Joe Biden come up with the millions and millions of dollars required to own the homes that he now owns? Maybe Hunter helped him buy those. So it isn't
maybe
just...
that would be a paper trail that would cause great damage to Joe Biden and potentially cause him to be arrested for selling influence. Here's the thing. He owns a home in Wilmington that's worth $6.2 million. He owns a home in Rehoboth Beach, a condo that's over almost $3 million. And he's got another place in the D.C. area that's expensive as well. So he's got himself quite a passel of property. The only person who's ever been a public employee for as long as Joe Biden and has been able to afford 3 houses is Bernie Sanders. It seems like these socialists seem to figure out a good way to line their own pockets when they're telling everybody else that it's bad to line theirs. It's just pretty strange. But yeah, George, you're right in terms of the money. it's reasonable to question where he got the money. He got an $8 million advance on a book deal. Now, George, Starr Parker and I wrote a book, okay? And I can tell you for a fact that we didn't get an $8 million advance. And I can tell you, since nobody's ever heard of Joe Biden's book, that $8 million advance, which is, by the way, an advance in a book, I can tell you this, if you don't sell enough books to cover the advance, you have to pay it back. It's an advance against profits, hence why it's called an advance.
Right.
And so it's really a loan, a no interest loan against profits. Now, I don't know about you, but I never even knew that Joe Biden had a book, let alone that he, actually got paid a lot of money for it. It flew off.
And if he doesn't write any better than he speaks, it'd be very difficult to read.
Well, but he always plagiarizes from the best authors, so it's okay.
Oh, yeah, maybe it'd be really good.
It might be interesting.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
It was the best of times. Yes. Yeah. Where did I hear that?
Maybe Charles Dickens said something like that once. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's I can hear or read the various. For whom the bell tolls, it tells for you. All the best authors will be incorporated into the Biden book. The one problem is he probably hasn't read any of them, so it's probably not. He probably is not familiar with the work. So maybe he's coming up originally. Maybe he's that monkey who types Shakespeare on a typewriter. He's that one monkey. But nonetheless, enough about Joe. Fact is, he's gotten very wealthy in a very short period of time. And it's reasonable to ask if that money is directly tied to his nefarious deals with Burisma and with China, where his son managed to get on Air Force Two, fly to China, and came away as with $1 billion contract as a hedge fund manager, which, once again, Hunter Biden had never done before, had no idea how to do it. Hunter Biden couldn't even make it. He ended up being thrown out of the Navy because he couldn't stay sober. Right. So yeah, the Chinese are turning over $1 billion as a hedge fund manager to this guy who is because he's just a regular investor and not just isn't Joe Biden's
right.
property.
I'm just trying to figure out what the New York Times would, because we talk about this sort of thing and they're going to say, well, that's just silly, conspiracy theories. It's all been debunked. If we had even a shred, like just a tenth of the evidence that Don Jr. had been getting these kinds of deals the last 3 years, do you think maybe Adam Schiff would have something to say about it?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that might have come up. It's a, here's what the Washington Post had to say about it, because I read it today. They said, "Oh, nothing to see here. It just shows that there was all these allegations were conspiracy theories and nothing else, except for they were true." Yeah. Except for that's the point of it. And there's just, even if you don't believe anything else, you can know this. Joe Biden's on tape saying that he forced the firing of the prosecutor who was prosecuting Burisma. Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma, his son. If you just know those two facts, getting paid a lot of money. If you just know those two facts, you'd have to say, gee, I wonder why he had the prosecutor fired.
Yeah, he doesn't pass the smell test.
U.S. vice presidents fire prosecutors in foreign countries for investigating corruption. I mean, it would be if just those two fact sets would cause any Republican candidate, Republican member of Congress to have to resign from office.
Oh, absolutely. They'd be drummed out. Well, we are up against the break, but I do want to remind our viewers and listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth, and he is Rick Manning, and we will be back with Rick right after these messages. There's more to discuss, so don't go away. If you want to catch a rebroadcast, if you missed the first part of this segment, then you can catch it later at ccrshow.com. Don't forget that, ccrshow.com. We will be right back.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show, and of course the television show as well. We call it the Conservative Commandos radio show, but the truth of the matter is many of you watch us on TV and probably wonder why. It's just because the radio show came first, but we are glad to be on the AUN-TV network, and we're of course glad to be carried everywhere on Al Gore's amazing internet, as you can find us there if you're not near one of the many broadcast towers. I'm George Landreth, one of the Conservative Commandos hosts today. I do want to remind you, if you want to hear or view a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. We've been talking with Rick Manning, and we're going to continue that conversation. He's the president of Americans for Limited Government. He served served on President Trump's transition team, and he's the author with Starr Parker of a great book, Necessary Noise: How Donald Trump Inflames the Culture War and Why This is Good for America. So thanks for sticking through the break with us. Rick, it's always great to have you on the show, and I always feel frustrated when the clock limits us a bit, but I'm glad that we've got segment 2.
Yes, indeed.
Let's talk a little bit about, the news cycle has kind of, been, for a long time was just COVID. Now it's, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG3, RG, just that's all we're going to talk about, just over and over.
You almost said RG3. You almost said RG3. I heard you.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. Okay, that's the Redskin fan coming out on me, or I guess now to be
the
correct,
Washington football team fan.
The Washington football team fan, which is like really, really the Washington football team. So I think in solidarity, the Nationals should call themselves the Washington baseball team. And the Wizards should go to, and this might actually be an upgrade for Wizards because it's such a stupid name. The Bullets I liked a lot better, but they should in solidarity be the Washington basketball team.
Well, yes, I think that those would all work, and then you can have the Washington hockey team too.
There you go.
Also known as the Russian national team. So it's a.
So I wonder if Joe Biden's helped with that, but that was last segment. That was last segment. But at any rate, let's jump in and talk a little bit about what's going on with COVID, in particular, maybe just some of the budget stuff, because Nancy Pelosi and the left will never allow, as they've told us, they'll never allow a crisis to go to waste. So what's her game plan with that crisis? To the way they've framed it, at least as a crisis. What's the game plan to grow the government?
Well, Nancy Pelosi has been pushing for a $3 trillion bailout, another $3 trillion. Ironically, at the same time that the Democrats are attacking Donald Trump for the budget deficit. So they're attacking Donald Trump for the budget deficit on one hand, while demanding we spend $3 trillion more on the so-called COVID crisis, and just recently she made a startling admission. About a week and a half ago, she said, "Oh, we're going to cut it back to $2 trillion." The Republicans are saying that they'll put in about $500 billion, which, by the way, used to be a lot of money. To put it in perspective,
I think I'd take half that in cash now.
Yeah, $500 billion is about a little under 1/6 of the entire revenues of the United States of America. So you're looking at a number that is just enormous when you talk about the size of how much money we bring in. But to Nancy Pelosi, she wants $3 trillion. What Nancy Pelosi didn't tell you is that she was actually extending the dollars out for more years. So she really was still going to spend $3 trillion. She was just going to spend it over a longer period of time. And she admitted that when she was talking about, basically taking questions about it. She said, well, I'll fix all that in December because the politics will be different in December. Meaning she fully expects to be in control of the Senate in January and the presidency in January, and she's counting her electoral eggs before they hatch, so to speak. So that's the interesting part is Nancy Pelosi
in fairness,
wants to spend as much money as we bring in a year, and she thinks she'll be able to do it after the election.
That's interesting. Could be catastrophic. I have to say, though, I do agree with Nancy Pelosi on one thing, and that is I do expect there to be a change in some things in Washington as a result of this election, but probably not the ones that she wants. I'm not saying I agree with her assessment that she thinks that there'll be a different president elect. Right. I think it'll be Donald Trump as the president-elect. I think that Mitch McConnell will still be the majority leader in the Senate. I am not at all clear that she is going to continue to be the Speaker of the House.
So you think that the voters are going to throw water on the Wicked Witch of the West? I'm melting. Yeah, I think that would be throwing cold water on her plans would be a great thing to do, and send her back to her ice cream freezer and her personalized non-mask wearing salon appearances. So, she's very comfortable in that environment. I think she should go back and enjoy it. Enjoy the millions that she's made as a federal servant.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me, George, is, there are some things that need to be done related to COVID. We need to get liability exemption for those employers who bring people back, because it's inevitable that some people are going to get sick. And the last thing you need is for trial lawyers to go and make it so every business in America has to shut down because they can't afford the insurance to cover their employees, which is what will happen if they don't get liability insurance. It's probably not a terrible idea. We still have 8.4% unemployment rate, to be able to help businesses that still are not able to open. And by the way, those businesses are almost all in states that are controlled by left-wing governors. And the left-wing governors are not allowing those states to open, I think, because they're trying to submarine the economy and submarine the unemployment rate. But what people don't realize, but the Republicans want to provide help for those small businesses who still can't get open because of their local governments or state governments' edicts against opening. And so I think that's a worthwhile thing to have happen.
But Nancy wants to actually bail out governments who've been, spending money like drunk sailors.
What Nancy Pelosi wants to do is she wants to give money to the people who are causing the economies to be shut down, to basically prop up the public employee unions. And so it's a straight public employee union giveaway, as opposed to helping the businesses that actually are being shut down by the actions of these governments, and in every single case at this point, unnecessarily shut down. So you're looking at Nancy Pelosi, once again, taking care of the government workers, and the Republicans trying to take care of America's workers. And that's the difference.
Yeah, and I hope the voters can see that. It's just, I agree that you just described it in a sentence really well. And so hopefully, despite the static from the New York Times and the Washington Post and ABC and NBC, et cetera, hopefully they can kind of just see, one party is for big government and that's about it, and one party is for me. And anyhow, so I like the way you framed that, because I think that's actually a very insightful way to frame it. I think it's true. But our time's about up, Rick, and so I want to make sure that I don't shortchange you on this part, and that is, it's important that our viewers and listeners know how they can follow your work at Americans for Limited Government. Great organization. You're always doing things that are interesting. It's one of the reasons I love to have you in the show, is you never disappoint. You always enlighten us, and you're interesting as well while enlightening us.
Well, thank you. You can check us out. I'm going to send you to a different site that I normally send you to. Go to dailytorch.com. It's dailytorch.com. And the reason I'm sending you there, that's our essentially our blog site. But we have a really cool new product. It's called ALG Minute. And we basically do a high-end broadcast synopsizing 1 minute that's on a topic that was important and we think people need to know about, and topics that oftentimes aren't being talked about. And so it's being done by somebody who's a professional broadcaster, not me. And so you don't have to look at this mug. It's a much better looking mug than mine. And it's a really high quality thing. I think most people would really love it. So I would encourage people to go to dailytorch.com and check it out.
That sounds good. It sounds like a worthwhile source there to, again, be a better armed citizen so that you know how to deal with the issues. We always have to be prepared to win the battle of ideas. And I appreciate the fact, Rick, that you have a personal commitment to winning that battle on a daily basis. So thanks for joining us. And just to our listeners, don't go away, because the Conservative Commandos will return. But I do want to just make sure you know that you can check out our website, ccrshow.com, for more information. Of course, we're on TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, Net Talk America, AMF 24/7. We're truly everywhere. And we're glad that you are with us everywhere. We will be right back.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show and the television show. Thanks to the AUN-TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, and of course, Al Gore's amazing internet. We truly are everywhere. Maybe not in China or North Korea or Iran, but we are everywhere where freedom is allowed to be talked about. I'm George Landreth, and I'm one of your Conservative Commando co-hosts today. I'm glad you're with us. I do want to remind you, if you want to view or hear a rebroadcast of the show, or if you want more information, check out our website, ccrshow.com. I'm really pleased to introduce our guest. She's a friend of the show. She is somebody you've seen before, so I know in some sense maybe I don't need to introduce her, but I always feel the need to introduce our guests because we have really awesome guests here and they deserve a good introduction. Angela Box. She is a former actress, elementary school teacher. In that capacity, she came to local, national, even international prominence because she had the audacity to have politically incorrect opinions, and she expressed them about radical Islam, President Obama, leftist Democrats, and oh my gosh, she got into trouble for doing that. In fact, she was kind of like being canceled before it was cool to be canceled. You know, she's a trendsetter. At any rate, we're really glad to have her on. She, of course, now is working with a political consultant firm, and they work to elect, as you might imagine, conservative candidates at all levels of government. So she's also does lots of media appearances, and she hosts her own program, Angela's Soapbox. It's on the Raging Elephants radio, and you can also get it online at angelasoapbox.com. So with that, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, Angela.
Hello, George. That was a perfect introduction.
Well, I'm really glad to have you here. You know, we've got Heck, we've got some politically incorrect things to talk about today.
Yes.
So you're just the person to talk about them. You know, on Wednesday this week, in Louisville, the grand jury announced some indictments and so forth. And I thought there was a mixed bag in that. You know, to be honest, if this had happened a month ago, if someone had said, George, predict what the grand jury will do, I would have said, well, they're under tremendous pressure to quell the rioting, to satisfy the mob. So they'll probably, you know, accuse everybody or indict everybody of first-degree murder. And of course, they haven't done that. So that's the good news. The good news is they didn't go whole hog on appeasing the mob. But interestingly enough, it seems to me they still charged one of the officers in a way that I'm puzzled by, and I wanted to get your sense of it. Let's talk about it. I believe, you know, they got him for reckless or wanton disregard, kind of was the operative word. And someone's shooting at him from behind a door, and his crime was he shot back, not knowing anything other than there was someone behind the door shooting at him. And so he shot back.
Right. And what I find really distasteful about the modern left and the modern Democrat Party and the media who enable them is that the entire city of Louisville has been under a state of emergency for most of the beginning of this week. All these businesses are boarded up. Courthouse was boarded up. And the fact that business owners and government officials have to prepare for the riots to come really speaks to where we are in this country and how violent and dangerous the left has become. And I think that the indictment should not have happened. I'm glad that there was no manslaughter or second-degree manslaughter, which is what a lot of people were thinking there would be, like you said, to appease the mob. But we cannot have jurisprudence based on appeasing the mob. We have to have one set of justice, one rule of justice for everybody, not one rule for Democrats and their people in the mob and the one for the rest of us. So this officer, I imagine, I can't remember his name, former detective, and it kills me. This guy's a detective, gave his life to the force, gave his life to being a police officer, and now it's destroyed. It's destroyed because this grand jury thought they had to do something to appease the rioters, to appease Black Lives Matter, the terrorists of Black Lives Matter, the terrorists of Antifa, and they should have come out with a no bill. A no indictment. That's what it should have been all across the board. But you're right. So let me get this straight. The police officers are called. It's a no-knock warrant, which they're getting rid of now because of the mob, which is ridiculous.
But interesting enough, that's one thing I think it's important to point out, though. It turns out from the grand jury that they did knock repeatedly.
Oh, they did knock.
And they did announce themselves repeatedly, apparently for close to 5 minutes.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either, because all the coverage to date has been that it was a no-knock warrant.
Yes.
And it may have authorized them to do a no-walk entrance, but they didn't do that. And the evidence, apparently the grand jury found that they did not just spring upon them unannounced. In other words, the people shooting at them knew they were police officers.
Right. And let's not act like Breonna Taylor's this innocent little lamb. And what is, again, disgusting, her family gets $12 million, won the lottery, basically, because of Black Lives Matter and Antifa pressuring the city of Louisville and the state of Kentucky to give her family $12 million. Why? Because her boyfriend was a drug dealer, and her boyfriend started shooting at the police officers, and she was caught in the crossfire. Now, I mean, in what universe are we supposed to be rewarded for having drug dealer boyfriends who start shooting at the police? I'm sorry that Breonna Taylor lost her life, but I think it's ridiculous for NFL players and the woke among us to elevate her to sainthood like they're doing to George Floyd. The fact of the matter is, maybe she wasn't involved with the drug dealing herself, but she sure as hell knew what he was doing. And the police officer said, like you said, we're coming in. Her boyfriend did not need to shoot at the cops. He's the one who started it, and this officer should not have been charged.
Well, one of the things that I find interesting kind of in the society we live in today, too, is every time something bad happens, it doesn't mean that someone did something bad.
Right.
There are actual tragedies.
Yes.
You know, in other words, there are things where you just kind of go, wow, that's sad. I'm sorry that happened. And, you know, I would say that her death is that. I mean, I'm not saying she deserved to die just because her boyfriend was a drug dealer, but I don't know what you expect the police to do. Honestly and truly, when the police are at the door and someone starts shooting through the door at them, And then what? So they just have to die that night? Is that because that's a tragedy too? And that seems to manifest in injustice, because the rest of us have the right to defend ourselves. Just police officers then are the only ones who can't. And so to me, one of my frustrations with this is this. We can all acknowledge that her death's a tragedy. It's most unfortunate, but it's not the policeman's fault. It's her boyfriend's fault. Her boyfriend is the one. And I would argue you could charge him with her death, because like if, for example, if in the commission of a crime, if let's say you and I were robbing a bank, and not that you and I would do that, but I'll just use us as an example, and I have a gun and I shoot at a police officer, he shoots back, he misses me and kills the woman standing behind me. We have what's called felony murder rule. Guess who gets charged with murder? Because I was committing the crime in this instance, or this example, I would, even though my bullet didn't kill the person. And the reason is because I set off the events that caused it to happen. So if anybody's going to be charged with a serious crime, it should be the boyfriend, because he's the one who set off by shooting at the policeman. They shot back. Anyhow, I'm frustrated by this whole idea that every tragedy means that the police are bad.
No, for sure. And I mean, if what had happened was the police just allowed themselves to be killed, I guess, we wouldn't have ever heard of this. It would just be one more police officer murdered by a thug, and we wouldn't even know anything about Breonna Taylor. It's sort of what you're talking about, events being set in motion. It's reminding me of the Rittenhouse case as well, because Rittenhouse in Kenosha, all the self-defense aspect of it, and more video has been released about what happened on the night with Kyle Rittenhouse and the crazy Antifa people who were attacking him, and it was a clear case of self-defense. So those thugs who are dead, their events set the events, their deaths or their actions set these events in motion. And Kyle Rittenhouse should not be in jail. This police officer should not be charged. And it's the mentality of the left and our culture now to acquiesce to the mob. And we know how that story ends. It is tyranny. And it's off with their heads, and it's French Revolution stuff. And it would be wise for people to pay attention to what the mob is saying they want. The mob does not want to coexist with us. They want to rule us. They want to destroy us. They want to destroy Trump supporters and anybody who is for law and order and Western civilization, essentially. So we would be wise to pay attention to what they're saying.
I agree. I think when you look at, and that's one of the clever things about Black Lives Matter, is they picked a name for their organization that essentially nobody could actually disagree with. Black lives do matter in the sense that every life matters if you believe in the fundamental nature of, we're endowed by our Creator certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. But the problem is that's not actually what they stand for. They stand for a variety of other things, and they're much more political than they are about human rights. They're much more about Marxism, and they're much more about the grievance society. They're not actually that interested in a just and fair society.
Violent Marxism to achieve their means of destroying the nuclear family and down with Western civilization.
Yeah. And that's not you. And that's not you saying that. That's their website.
That's their website. Well, they scrubbed it the other day, but you can still find it.
Right. It was their website a few weeks ago or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
And for months. They finally got so much, they decided to be less candid.
Yeah, I mean, look, luckily, not everything can be memory hold, and people with brains can look into this for themselves. We're not making this up.
Exactly. No, it's just the truth. It's the unvarnished truth. We are up against the break and the clock here, which frustrates the daylights out of me sometimes, how the clock rules my life. We have a great conversation, gets in the way. But I do want to remind our viewers and listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth. She is Angela Box, and we will be right back after these messages. Just remind you, check out our website if you have any need to, if you came in late and missed the first part of this segment. You can catch Angela from the very beginning at ccrshow.com. Don't go away.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show, television show, thanks to the Conservative Commandos radio network, the AUN-TV network, and of course, if you're not near one of the many broadcast towers, there's always Al Gore's amazing internet. We truly are everywhere. I'm George Landreth, and of course, I'm one of the Conservative Commandos co-hosts, and we are very happy today to have Angela Box with us. She is... Well, I'm not going to do the full introduction, but I will tell you, if you want to catch her when she's not on Conservative Commandos, then catch her at angelassoapbox.com. There she is, does her own commentary, and you can catch her radio and other appearances as well. So worth a check out. But at any rate, thanks for sticking to the break, Angela. There's lots more to talk about. I wish we could probably just keep you for the full hour because there's so much to talk about. But I know you're busy and have lots to do, and I appreciate that. So I'm not gonna, be a time hog. But I am glad that you could stick around a little longer. This week. Beginning last week with the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that story has dominated the news. And that's a big story, obviously, when you have a change in the Supreme Court, particularly as political as it's become. When I was a young boy, the Supreme Court, was kind of like not as big a story. But it really, with Robert Bork, is when every single confirmation hearing became highly political and about the politics of personal destruction.
Well, the Republican nominees, the Democrat nominees.
Fair point. Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. I appreciate that caveat because that's true. Because we still, for example, Republicans are still willing to vote for their nominees, not so much because they like them, but they go, oh, the president has the right to pick them, and this person's qualified in the sense that they have been serving as a judge or whatever, and historically, we've been willing to vote mostly for their nominees after a hearing, and they simply won't. And you see kind of with Robert Bork, he was savaged. He was probably the most qualified human being on the planet to be on the Supreme Court. And he'd been an appellate court judge forever, and he'd never been overturned. That's how good his opinions were. And yet he couldn't be on the Supreme Court because he's a bad guy. Because who said so? Ted Kennedy and Joe Biden. That's the thing I always find funny is Joe Biden's a healer. And yet he's the one who presided over the original politics of destruction Supreme Court hearing with Robert Bork. It was his doing. And then to follow up on that, he did Clarence Thomas too. So it wasn't an accident. But he's a healer. He's going to bring us all together.
No, there's a special place in hell for Ted Kennedy, as far as I'm concerned. And my article this week on Angela's Soapbox is Remember Kavanaugh and Fill the Seat. And we need to remember and keep this fire in our belly for what they did to Brett Kavanaugh 2 years ago. The Democrat Party, the modern Democrat Party, since Robert Bork, I would agree that's correct when it started to shift. The Supreme Court became totally politicized, and it's because of the left. The modern Democrat Party has shown they have no desire to coexist with anybody. They want pure, unadulterated, raw power. And whatever they have to do to get it, whether that means to destroy an innocent man like Brett Kavanaugh and his family, they don't care, they'll do it. To destroy Clarence Thomas, to destroy Sam Alito. They didn't really have much of a runway with Neil Gorsuch, but because he was quieter. But they're going to, if it's Amy Coney Barrett, which it sounds like it's going to be, which I think is a great pick, I can't wait until they try and savage this deeply religious woman, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg talked about how much her Jewish faith meant to her and how it influenced her decisions on the court. So I can't wait until they try and turn that around on Amy Coney Barrett. And also 3 weeks ago talking about what a devout Catholic Joe Biden is and how his faith really, directed his life. It's like, really, Joe Biden? So you being for basically post-birth abortion is you being a deeply devout Catholic? Sure. No, look, we have a president who is a street fighter, who is showing the Republicans how to play the Democrats' game. And we're going to stick it back in their throat, down their throats. And
sideways, I hope.
Let them try it. It's going to be great. Because Democrats are going to show exactly who they are during these hearings. 6 weeks before an election, it's going to be voila, a thing of beauty.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch them, because I think you're right. They're absolutely going to savage whoever it is, male, female, it won't matter. Now, they may not be able to use the exact same tactics, meaning the same charges. I don't think they can bring.
I don't think she gang raped anyone. So.
Yeah, they probably can't accuse her of being a Sid or gang rapist. I don't know. Maybe they will. But having said that, they'll find something that they are going to savage her with.
Yeah.
And this is interesting too, because she's the mother of 7. 5 are biological children. 2 are adopted from Haiti, meaning, and so they're children of color.
Yes,
So they're gonna tell us she's racist, I'm sure, and I'm trying to figure out, how do you explain to the American public that a woman who adopted as her children, who raises them as her own, who loves them dearly, but notwithstanding, she hates people of color?
Well, they'll say she has the white savior complex. They'll pull that out. No, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to Kavanaugh this woman, I don't think. And Trump was very wise and very prescient. And you talk about a 4D chess master. He kept Amy, if it is Amy, until now. He wanted to wait until Aunt Ruthie was retired or passed away. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg did say in last year that, of course, the president has the right to nominate and get his nominee through the Senate. Doesn't matter if it's the last year of his presidency. She said that last year. She also could have retired during Obama's term, and they could have gotten a progressive leftist in her spot. But
her health was actually slipping during the last year or two of his term as well. I mean, this isn't like some new event. where we're surprised. She's actually been on I feel bad for her because I think dying of cancer is not a good thing. And I disagree with her politically, and I disagree with her jurisprudence. But, when she passed away, I don't want to. I remember when the left, when David Koch died, they all said, "Oh, good, I'm glad that, that jerk's dead. I hope it was painful," that kind of garbage. And I'm just like, I don't actually wish that anybody dies painfully. It's just, that's not really who I am. I can disagree with you. It doesn't mean I have to hope that, that your last breath is horrible and that you die alone and by yourself and in pain. That's just like, that's so dark. And that's not really who conservatives are. We're happy warriors.
That's what the Democrats are. And it's any Republican that dies. And to a person, the night she died, I paid attention to social media and television and everything like that. And not one conservative was disrespectful. They said similar things. I disagreed with everything she said, but by all accounts, she was a very nice lady. It's a terrible way to die. My father passed away from pancreatic cancer. It's awful. She hung in there. Her life was extraordinary and trailblazing, and we can celebrate that without agreeing with her. But right. Democrats or liberals or leftists, and I don't even call them liberals. They are leftists. Right. Leftists are cruel, mean-spirited, and vicious to a person. So whenever a Republican dies, they are the most over-the-top, angry, hateful, vitriolic people. And, look at the left now. People like Reza Aslan from CNN saying, we're going to burn this whole effing thing down if Trump tries to push through his nominee. I mean, have you ever heard any Republican say anything like that? Not only that, but there's no Trump supporters lighting cities on fire. There's no Trump supporters assaulting innocent people and looting stores. So what I'm hoping is that normal America, the people that sit back and go, this is not the Democrat Party of my mom and my grandpa, that they go, I can't support people like this. These are revolutionaries. Yeah. And they're going to do whatever they can to get their way. They've already said if they win the election, they're going to, we're going to have Puerto Rico and D.C. as states. Four senators, Democrat permanent. They're going to stack the courts. They're going to put more people on the Supreme Court. They don't want to play by the rules. So it's not that we have to play by their rules, but we have to push back as hard as they push to us. And we have to fight back with everything we have.
Yeah, I agree. We're playing against somebody who's not going to play by the rules, and so we have to know that going in and not be stupid. Right. Well, we are up against the break, so before we say goodbye during this segment, I want to make sure our listeners and our viewers know how they can follow you. Twitter, Facebook, websites, whatever. Well, okay, so my Twitter, Instagram, and Parler, but I'm mostly on Twitter because I like to be where the enemy is. It's at The Box That Rocks, BOX, and then ROXX. My website is angelasoapbox.com. I have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. It's Angela Box. But all my content is on angelasoapbox.com. But would love a follow, and I love interacting with fellow patriots, and I feel cautiously optimistic if the Democrats don't cheat their way with mail-in ballots, that we're going to have another 4.5 years of the greatest president of my lifetime. It's exciting. I hope you're right. I tend to think that as well, but like you said, it's the wild card is the potential cheating, which they've set themselves up for. Well, thanks so much for spending time with us, Angela. I know that you're very busy and you make a personal sacrifice to fit into the schedule, so I appreciate that just on a personal level. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandoes Radio Network, the AUN-TV Network, and, of course, Al Gore's amazing internet. Remember our website, ccrshow.com. You can, of course, find us on iHeartRadio and TalkStream Live as well there, too. But ccrshow.com is the place where you can find all the information. Don't go away. The Conservative Commandos will be right back.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show, and of course the television show as well. We often refer to it as the Conservative Commandos radio show, and that sounds a little odd for those of you watching it on TV, but that's because we have the AUN-TV network carrying our show as well. We appreciate that. We're also glad to all our listeners around the country who tune in on the Conservative Commandos radio network. And of course, if you're not near one of the many broadcast towers that carry our signal, never fear, because Al Gore's amazing internet comes to the rescue. We truly are everywhere. I'm George Landreth, one of the Conservative Commandos hosts. I'm glad you're here. I do want to remind you, if you want to see or hear a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. I'm really pleased to introduce our next guest. Those of you who've been tuning in recently know that Christine Hicks is becoming a regular. The reason is she's a common sense constitutional conservative. She comes from a deep blue state. She loves her country. She appreciates its history and believes in freedom as a governing philosophy. And she knows what it's like to be outnumbered by the crazy left. So I've always enjoyed her perspective because, you know, it's good to get, if you will, kind of cross-pollinate and get some different approaches to things. And since she's from a blue state and kind of understands all those, I'm really glad you're here with us, Christine. It's great to have you on the show again.
Good to be here.
Well, you know, we've seen a lot of crazy stuff this year, but I have to say one of the most bizarre things is the violence we see. And it's I won't say it's unprecedented, because I think in 1968 there was a lot of violence. But for most people, for most of our viewers and our listeners, in their lifetime, this is unprecedented, because that was a long time ago, 1968. And we have this sustained violence in the streets for essentially 3 straight months. Actually now, I guess going on 4 straight months, about 120 days roughly. And now we're getting threats of violence in the future. So I kind of want to just get you to talk us through how you see all this, because to me it's a little bit alarming. I don't see how a free society can survive on violence in the streets.
Yeah, it is alarming, and I've certainly never seen anything like it in my lifetime. I mean, where we have, media personalities calling for burning things down and blowing things up, and just everyday people, the way they're behaving. I mean, some of the things that you're seeing. There was a woman recently in her car. I'm sure you've seen the video where she was giving some Trump supporters the finger, and while driving, she was literally looking sideways and driving at the same time, and she hit the car in front of her. I mean, it's literally a disorder, seriously, and I've never seen anything like it. I mean, at this point, we could have doctors specializing in this disorder, because people are they're losing it. I mean, every day you see people, there was a girl in Maine who was leaving, dog poop in Trump supporters' mailboxes. I mean, people have just completely lost it, and it's funny in one way, but it's not either, I mean, it's scary. It really is.
It is. It's one of the things that I think is odd about it is I used to think there's a time when if you'd asked me, do you hate Barack Obama? I would have said, well, yeah. And now I realize I actually never hated the man. I disliked his policies intensely, and I disliked his arrogance, and I disliked lots of things about the way he ran his presidency. But I actually never hated him because I wasn't willing to lie about him. I wasn't willing to vilify people who had voted for him. I wasn't willing to attack them. I wasn't willing to burn things. It just kind of, me and my organization were one of the groups that was targeted by his IRS. So I had some pretty stiff reasons to be upset with him, but it didn't drive me to that level of nuttiness. And so that's when I kind of realized I don't hate him, because these people have become, I have friends that I think are smart people, but when I hear them talk about politics, they hate Trump so much sometimes that they sound like idiots. They'll believe anything as long as they...
Yeah, I truly don't understand. I mean, I remember when Obama was in office, and Republicans didn't like him, but it was no way near this kind of hysteria and intolerance. I mean, I totally don't understand the need for people to be driving down the road and see a Trump sign and stop their car and get out and, steal it or cut it up or set it on fire. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I've never seen anything like it. It's outrageous. And it truly, I honestly, and I'm not even kidding, I think it's a mental disorder. These people, I don't know. It's not normal to react that way over politics. They're so full of hate. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I saw a video of a soldier on an airplane, a former soldier who was in Afghanistan, and he had a Trump hat on, and this woman sitting next to him, fortunately there was a seat between them, told him, because he had the Trump hat on, that she wished he would have died in Afghanistan. I mean, if that's not hatred and intolerance, I don't know what is. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah, no, it is. It's sick. There's a mental illness involved with that. And none of my friends are violent, of course, but the mental illness has made some of them stupid. And they're otherwise intelligent people. They're not stupid. But they've become so overrun by their hatred that it makes them stupid. And they say and believe crazy things. And, it's amazing. Everything that makes Trump look bad is obviously true. And anything that makes, Joe Biden look bad is obviously a conspiracy theory. Even if it's him on video saying the very thing that you're saying he says. It's still a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, these people are completely controlled by the media. The media just like puppets. They believe everything they say, and nothing you can say will change their mind. They just, they have this thing in their head, this, orange, billionaire guy who doesn't pay his taxes, who's a racist, and that's it. That's all they think, and it's the same thing over and over again. Yeah, and if you ask them why they would vote for Biden, they can't give you an answer other than mentioning Trump, and that they hate Trump. And so it's just,
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. It is interesting. You know, one of the things I think that my sense of this is that the election is going to swing in conservatives' favor because of this tremendous, just what you've been talking about, this irrationality, the craziness, I think too many, if you will, mainstream Americans who may not even be that political will just go, wait, this is too much. I can't go along with this. And so the beneficiary will be the people who aren't completely insane, which will include, of course, Donald Trump and many people down ticket. But I would argue one of their main strategies is this mail-in voting, because I think their hope for winning is going to be tied into cheating. And then, of course, you've got, a billionaire Bloomberg, allegedly buying votes down in Florida. What's your thought on that? How do you see all that? Is that one of those crazy conspiracy theories, or is there some truth to it?
You know, the thing with mail-in voting, I don't think it's a good idea. But, you know, the good news is perhaps more people will vote because it's so convenient. The bad news is those could be Democrat voters, you know. So it does have its upside, because I do think more people will vote for that reason. I mean, some people just don't want, you know, either something comes up and they don't make it, you know, to the polls, or whatever, you know. So it's easier for them to vote this way. But yeah, I think I don't see how they're gonna be able to pull this off and count all these votes, you know, right away anyway. So I think this is gonna turn into God knows what, you know.
No, I think you're right about that. I mean, I think we could over time eventually create a mail-in voting system that's secure and would work. I think we could over time do that. I don't know that you can do that in 2 months. And I think they want to quickly try to force it because they know that at least the first few times we try this, it will be a fiasco. It has been where it's been done. And when people say, oh, lots of places have been doing it. Well, some have been doing it for a decade, and it took them a while to figure out how to do it. And, you know, so my point is, it could be, I think you're right about the fiasco. Any thoughts on Mr. Bloomberg buying, I refer to as buying votes. What he's actually doing is paying off the debts of former felons who the requirement was for them to be able to vote under law was, of course, to serve their time, complete their reporting to their parole officer, and then to pay any debts that they had incurred in the commission of the crime.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious what he's doing. He is trying to buy more votes, you know, and I mean, chances are these people aren't going to be Republicans, just, you know, wild guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, I heard that there's a lawsuit about this, so I'm hoping that, you know, something can be done because it's not fair, you know, it's like cheating.
It's like, can imagine someone serving, like, could he serve their time for them? You know, it's a personal obligation, it seems to me. They're the one who committed the crime. It's not like he's picking up the restaurant tab.
They're leaving no stone unturned here, you know. I mean, they are going to try everything they can, you know. And I mean, I'm convinced right from the start with the mail-in voting. I mean, I think they're hoping that it's complicated, you know, and just anything to buy time and to look for anything, you know. They're looking for anything they can do to try to prevent him from winning.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think you're right about that. We are up against the clock, unfortunately, so I just want to remind our viewers and our listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos. I am George Landreth. She's Christine Hicks, and we will be right back after these messages. I do want to remind you, if you tuned in late, you want to catch a rebroadcast, ccrshow.com is the place to go. But stick around, because Christine and I will be right back after these messages.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show, carried on the AUN-TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, and everywhere across the globe on Al Gore's amazing internet. I'm George Landreth, one of the Conservative Commando co-hosts, and I am here with our guest and friend, and if you've been watching this show, I'm sure you feel like she's your friend because she supports liberty and freedom. That is, of course, Christine Hicks. Christine, I'm glad you could stick around through the break and that we can have you on for another segment. There's lots more to talk about. We started off talking about the violence and just kind of the craziness and the threats of violence if Trump wins, and then we shifted into some of the mail-in voting, kind of the push to do that all at once immediately without kind of slowly working into it, and then Bloomberg trying to buy votes down in Florida. And I thought maybe we'd shift gears a little bit to the Supreme Court, but I do think that there's a possibility that part of the vitriol we hear with the Supreme Court, because there was a time when the Supreme Court was kind of like not that big a deal. Prior to Judge Bork's nomination, the Supreme Court wasn't really that contentious in terms of what we see now is the kind of the world comes caving in every time there's an opening is a new situation. It wasn't like that for the first 200 years of the country. But now it is. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe part of it isn't that's how they plan to get their agenda through. So I thought maybe we could ask you, the two names I hear batted around the most, of course, are Judge Lagoa and Judge Barrett, two women who are on Federal Court of Appeals. They're both respected. They're both, I think, really good constitutionalist judges. But let's talk about just any of that. What's your take?
Well, I'm hoping he picks Lagoa for a few reasons, not just to, get the Hispanic vote or make Hispanic people happy, but just to switch things up a little bit and to kind of get away from the stereotype that this party's been dragging around for so long where, everyone fits a certain profile, just to mix it up a little, because I want to grow the party. I want to expose it, to new people. So I think him picking her would do that, because I think that's what we need to do. We need to just change it up a little, so.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. And this is, I don't mean any disrespect to Judge Barrett. I think she's a fabulous judge and be a great Supreme Court justice. But I do think you make a good point. I just this past week was at a fundraiser for a congressional candidate who's a minority, and I was there because it struck me the same exact reason. We need to have more, if you will, atypical faces championing freedom, because it's too easy for the other side to claim that it's just some sort of, oh yeah, this is for white people. And I don't want to give that impression, because it's not. Freedom is for everyone.
I mean, it's, the demographics are changing. A lot of these things where they say there's not enough minorities involved. It's just a simple matter of demographics, I mean, obviously white right now is the majority, but that's, at some point, there's not going to be majority. Everyone's going to be, it's going to be level. So, I've said it before that the future of this party really is in the hands of Hispanics, and I truly believe that. And, from what I can see anyway, Trump has a lot of support from Hispanics. So like I said, it's not just a matter of, pandering to Hispanics by choosing her for a judge, but I think they would truly enjoy that, and appreciate that. And, I think it's a good idea. So I'm hoping that's what he does, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. We'll know for sure, but it's always fun to speculate a little bit. I agree with your thinking. One of the things I think will be interesting, I'm pretty sure no matter who it is, whether it's Judge Lagoa, whether it's Judge Barrett or someone else, they will try to savage them. I think it's very clear that the Democratic machine will come after them and engage in a very fierce, if you will, session of the politics of personal destruction. They'll lie about them. They'll try to basically ruin them. It won't be enough to say he could have picked someone else that would be better in our opinion. It will be, this person's horrible. They're a bad person.
Anything they can find. I mean, I've already heard about Barrett that because she's Catholic. I mean, come on. I mean, if that's not, grasping at anything, I don't know what is. That's,
right. I think John Kennedy, if I recall, was Catholic. Was that a bad thing? And just last week, I'm pretty sure that Joe Biden was telling us how devout a Catholic he was. And the media didn't seem to be bothered by it, But all of a sudden now, Judge Barrett's Catholic, and it's going to become a capital crime to be a Catholic. Yeah. And, with Judge Lagoa, one of the things I think would be helpful to, if you're a Latino voter and you're not quite sure which party seems more interested in, being honestly interested in your welfare, the Democrats will probably give them lots of reason to question their sincerity. because they'll attack that woman. They're not going to accept her. They're going to attack her, and it's going to be brutal. And it'll probably be lies. I'm not saying that she's done anything that, I mean, in fact, I'm sure she hasn't. She was confirmed as a judge in the appellate court, federal, with bipartisan support. I have a feeling it won't be quite so bipartisan this time.
It would be all the usual, they're gonna, they're gonna do away with Roe versus Wade. It would be all the usual, typical stereotypes that they try to stick on Republicans. They've been doing it for years and years. They would have to be fools to go after her, though. I mean, if they do, that's, be a total kamikaze move, because as it is, they're on thin ice with Hispanics, because, Hispanics, they're not stupid people. There's no way Joe Biden is going to tell them that, if you're not with me, you're not Hispanic, because, they're not going to be having that, they're not going to.
Yeah, I think they just roll their eyes and think that, I mean, one of the things that would be interesting to me is if they can, I think you're exactly right. It would be kamikaze to attack her. But we earlier, I think in the very first segment, we were talking about some of the insanity, just the people have kind of become almost nutty in terms of how they, and so what I'm almost expecting is that they will be insane, and they will attack her anyway. And it will be kamikaze.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I agree with you. It would make no sense for them to do that, but they will. Anyhow, because they won't be able to help themselves.
No, they're so angry. I mean, you're right. They'll do anything. They're very desperate. So anything's possible, but if he does choose her and they do that, it'll be a big mistake.
Absolutely.
It would probably be worse than him telling black people that if you're not with him, you're not black. I mean, it's just...
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think they could be very well digging their own grave. And it would be interesting. That could also happen with Amy Barrett. I'm not, Judge Barrett as well, because I think Catholics might go, whoa. But I do agree with you that I think there's... was it Ronald Reagan? I think you've quoted before saying, and I think it's correct, that Hispanics are conservatives. They just don't know it yet, and I think they're figuring it out. The polling suggests that they are, and they have strong families. They believe in God. They're hard workers. They have a lot of the same values that you could argue were values that were commonly held in America 50 years ago. The idea that hard work and thrift are important. And so I could see them being successful, seeing all this and transitioning towards the Conservative Party.
And they love this country. They love what it stands for. Many of them hate socialism because, their own countries, they've seen what it's done, and they're wise people. They're not going to be fooled by Joe Biden and the Democrats, the way they've been running things for the past 60 years. I'm hoping with everything that's going on with the riots and everything that, it's waking a lot of people up, and it's almost like they're deliberately trying to destroy their own party, and I'm hoping that the party changes for the better because of it.
Agreed.
The same thing with Black Lives Matter. I mean, that went from being a situation in the beginning after George Floyd where everyone had sympathy, and at this point, most people see them as almost a terrorist organization because they've become, so violent, and oftentimes it's not even black people, it's white people on their behalf. So they've kind of run that into the ground too. So it's almost like they're self-destructing right before us, which, is fine with me. So I'm hoping that party grows in a different way too, where, we get out of this cycle that we're in, because we're right now, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we're so divided to the point of violence. It's just unbelievable, and it's sad.
Indeed it is. Well, our time is about up, but I think it would be useful for me to remind our viewers and our listeners how they can follow you when you're not on Conservative Commandos, because you're not on every day. As much as I'd like that, I suspect your life doesn't really permit that, so you're busy and have things to do. But I'm glad you can share your time with us when you can. But they can follow you on Instagram at Christine M. Hicks, Hixx, and on Facebook at Christine Hicks, again, Hixx. And most of the political stuff is on Facebook, so Christine Hicks there. And we really appreciate you spending time with us today to look at the issues. So thanks for being a great Conservative Commandos guest.
Okay, thank you.
Well, as I said, we are up against the break, but I just want to remind you, you're listening to the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth, and she is Christine Hicks, and the Conservative Commandos will return right after these messages, so don't go away. But remember our website, ccrshow.com.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Well, George, that just about wraps it up for today's show. As always, I appreciate you sitting in as my co-host. And George, for our listeners and viewers out there that want to find out more about you or Frontiers of Freedom, tell them how they can do that.
Absolutely. It couldn't be easier. Just go to the website of my organization, Frontiers of Freedom. It's ff.org, ff.org. And Twitter, you can follow me. I tweet about things, easy to follow me there. G Landreth. So GLANDRITH. And that's really the best two ways.
All right. And George, again, 3 great guests.
We did, really. I mean, Rick Manning's always good, and I'm, proud to call him a friend. I know you are as well. And, of course, one of our, former hosts. We've, just always, I love having Rick on. He's always interesting. Angela Box, the same thing. She, very interesting, energetic, and I think it's helpful to have, active females that are supporting conservatism, because the left would tell you that, it's only Rick and George, old white guys that are conservatives.
Right.
And that's clearly not true, as evidenced by some of our other hosts as well, not just you and me.
Resemble that remark.
But, and then on that same note, of course, we had Christine Hicks. And again, a female who is a ardent supporter of freedom and liberty and the Constitution. So what it shows is conservatism and liberty is for everyone.
Indeed, indeed. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run and we got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.